It's the JT the Brick Show.
This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. This is no ordinary job.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Here we go! Happy Monday, Raider Nation. Vince Sapienza sitting in the chair for the one, the only JT the Brick on assignment. My understanding is he is rubbing elbows with the Raiders rookies at the luncheon. Wonder what they're serving. Wonder if it's what do you serve on a Monday in Las Vegas when it's 1,000 degrees outside? But you know, climate control inside beautiful Legion Stadium, which, by the way, first things first, welcome. Hope everyone had a great weekend, great Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Once again, Raider Nation Radio 920. This is the flagship, and we are here every single day. I don't care if it's the dead period of summer. We're here. We're talking football. We're going to talk some other things today. Ari joining me here on the ones and twos. Is this our first
official? Yes, and there is no dead season, by the way.
Yeah, there's no dead season, no off
Totally.
season. Trust me, with hockey, there's no off season either. Just look at what happened last week.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final, and it's their 5th head coaching change. Ari, the Raiders have had 6 head coaches since they've been in Vegas. The Golden Knights have had 5 heading into year 10.
What is it about this town? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're right.
Nothing.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't think it's relevant at all. I think it's just pure situational. But maybe you guys are more ingrained in that.
Just a good time, not a long time.
Yeah. I don't. Well, Golden Knights in particular is kind of.
Yeah. It's they're
just
different.
fearless. Yeah, Raiders have just had some challenges.
Yeah, look at you.
Quick assessment.
Look at you, PC on a Monday. Some challenges.
I'm awake.
Ari, the World Cup we are in the midst of the World Cup. I am a massive soccer guy, but man, I understand why people can't glob onto it fully. I mean, just the amount of faking and the writhing and the pain these guys are going in. Messi just continues to do magical things, create another moment. He just scored 2 goals, now the all-time World Cup goals leader. Insane. But we'll talk World Cup in hour number 2. Jeff Sherman, longtime Vegas odds maker, veteran of the game, will be joining us in hour number 2. Andy Phillips, former NFL offensive lineman, best-selling author and a voter for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, will be joining us, as well as in hour number 2. Raiders columnist Paul Gutierrez will be joining us here in about 25-30 minutes time. And we've got a lot to talk about, surprisingly. As you said, no dead season, no off season for the Raiders, for the NFL. We are in the midst of the NBA off season, the NHL off season, massive trades happening, maybe on the cusp of a Greek freak Giannis, something. They keep saying the next day or two.
Feels that way.
Has it not been a day or two for the last couple months?
That's how you do it.
Maybe we'll break some news here.
There you go.
And by we, I mean through other outlets, but maybe we'll break some news here. But all right, this is kind of where I wanted to start. This morning, on the morning tailgate, Vinny Bonsignor and myself, we got to the news and notes that was Kieron Crawford, and being the latest rookie draft pick to sign his rookie deal, doing so on Sunday. Can you imagine the Raiders staff? Not like it's Father's Day. Now we're gonna finish this contract, but hey, no rest for the weary. No rest for the weary. A deal is done. That just leaves 2 outstanding contracts MIA, one being Jermod McCoy, 4th-round pick, which is somewhat understandable, especially if I'm Jermod McCoy's agent, because you're sitting there saying I'm a first-round talent. Everybody agrees, so you even think so. You said it when you drafted him. We just got a first-round talent of the 4th-round pick. But the numbers are what the numbers are in terms of these draft slots. So right now, the reason why people are saying, well, why aren't any of these deals just done the moment they're drafted? Well, it's because the agent tries to work in different guarantees, try and get as much money up front in these signing bonuses as possible. And you can thank no one further than Nick Caserio, the Houston Texans GM, who decided to fully guarantee last year's, was it Jalen Noel, the 2nd rounder, fully guaranteed his contract, and that set everybody back in last year's draft, which is why Jack Besh was one of the last guys to sign his deal of the Raiders rookie class. So I would imagine Jermon McCoy's agent is sitting there saying, look, we get he's a first-round talent. He's going to make fourth-round pick money, but let's up the guarantees a little bit. Let's give him a little something for the cause. That could be. That's me speculating. The other outstanding is one Fernando Mendoza. Now, again, there's nothing to worry about here. So let's not.
I'm freaking out.
That's Ari. I already
I'm
see.
not,
I can
I'm
already
kidding.
see the nation being like, hey, what's that about?
You know what? I'm lucky because I get to have shows and be around it for a lot to where it keeps me kind of grounded. Like I'm seeing the ups and downs and all the craziness. And yeah, I think it's just running its course. We've had multiple, as of you, guests that have kind of explained from different perspectives, the contracts, all that good stuff. So
it's just paperwork.
I think it's okay. I don't think he's we're gonna lose him.
It's just paperwork.
He got signed for some other team, just stole him from us.
It'll get done.
Yeah,
nation.
But
that being said, the news is just 2 rookies left without a contract for the moment. Fernando Mendoza, Jermon McCoy. So Kieran Crawford, we talked about him, his impact, what kind of the expectations are. We discussed that this morning. We can touch on that a little bit later with Paul Gutierrez. But I wanted to kind of turn our focus on today's program since I had 2 opportunities to kind of talk to the nation. Let's talk a little offense today. And Ashton Jeanty went on the socials, and he's become very good at the socials by way of working his side piece angles in terms of his other sponsorships and partnerships and ads and things of that night. He does very well of mixing in his own life with his partnerships and ads, and he's fantastic business savvy, as they say. But what he posted a few days ago, what's today, 22nd, so about 3 days ago, just before the weekend, basically his work in the lab, which at this point in the season is the gym. And if you haven't seen it, dude's jacked. Dude's jacked out of his mind, yoked up. And again, this is that time of year, this quote unquote dead period where there's not a lot going on. You can't do anything with the team right now. What you can really do is spend your time working out, getting stronger, getting ready for the rigors of training camp and all that provides. But Ashton Jeanty provided some tarps off, as they say, and he was, he's a monster. Now, he's always big. Ari, you point out, he's always been big.
Yeah.
He looks a little different.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the right, I'm having some trouble accessing it, believe it or not. But yeah. But he
did some silhouettes. It was very artsy.
Okay, yeah, that is the one I spotted. Yes. It just won't let me in. But yeah, it's crazy.
He's jacked. Now, my first thought was, oh no, this is like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to be posting, because now the expectations get even higher. This is supposed to be the quiet time where just, hey, you lay low in the weeds and then you pounce come training camp. But now it's like, Ashton Jeanty stronger? Is that possible? He was already running over dudes early. Because the other interesting part is, I remember talking to Ashton during training camp in the preseason. After that first preseason game, he kind of got lit up. He kind of got his welcome to the NFL moment on I believe it was a little swing route. He just caught it in the flat, turned up, and he was met hard, right? And it was one of those, oh, okay. And we talked to him after the game. I remember he was like, yeah, that was a good one. And anytime a player says that was a good one, that's when you know it was felt in a massive way. And it was really the last time something like that happened. I mean, he got hit pretty good throughout the season. I'm not saying he didn't get hit, but like he was dishing out more punishment than he was receiving. Yeah. Right? Is that fair?
He was squeezing like an extra 2 yards out of he totally destroyed drive. Like as soon as he get the ball, he pummeled, but he was still, I
mean, he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage 50% of the time. So he definitely received his fair share of hits.
We talked about earlier just, freaking out over stuff. Yeah. I will say, this is one thing I'm having a hard time, like, not freaking out about. It's just an even remotely improved O-line, and then that guy, like, what he did last year, given the circumstances, was crazy. So I am intrigued by that.
Well, and that brings me to kind of one of our two-pronged topics of the day. Prong number one. Is Ashton Jeanty automatically a top 5 running back right now? Hasn't hit the field. Rookie season, a wrap. let's put some numbers behind. Let's put some numbers before we get that answer. 702-365-9200. Because I do want Raider Nation to weigh in on this, because I think it's a valid question. We can talk about hopes, aspirations, dreams, expectations. 6th overall pick, what he should have been, what he didn't do, what he did do during his rookie year. But let's throw some numbers out. During his rookie season, granted, keep in mind, he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage 50% of the time. One of the all-time worst production outputs from an offensive line, not just in recent Raiders history, but in recent NFL history. It was porous. It was not good. There's a lot of reasons why. We can point to coaching. We can point to lack of quarterback play to help out the running game. We could talk about the defense couldn't make a stop. We pick a reason, and you can make a valid point for all the things that happened last year. But that's not the exercise we're doing. We're not pointing to everything that went wrong last year. We've done that. We know that. Coaching change, offseason changes, new names, new faces in the building. Jeanty had the 18th most rushing yards of any running back in the NFL, 975. I have been on record many a time saying the fact that he came even close to hitting 1,000 yards is nothing short of a miracle. Now, I also said prior to his rookie year, anything less than 1,300 yards his rookie season was a failure. He's the first one that said it to us before we could. He said he did not do what he wanted to do his rookie season. Now, he's one of 11. You can't do everything, okay? So knowing what we know, context is important. 975 yards is incredible. Let's go back a couple years. Kenneth Walker III. This is not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison, because there rarely is, there hardly are ever apple-to-apple comparisons in the National Football League. But Kenneth Walker III, prior to Clint Kubiak stepping in Seattle, was 35th in rushing yards. He had 573. Kubiak comes in. He is now the 16th highest in rushing yards, with just a shade over 1,000 yards, 1,027 yards. I was told in this gig I wasn't have to do much math, but that's just about in and around 500-yard difference year over year for one particular player that proved to be the bell cow for the Seattle Seahawks, for Clint Kubiak, the running scheme, etc. If you were to add, again, this is not apples to apples, I understand that, but if you were to add simply 500 yards to Ashton Jeanty's rookie total, he would have finished top 5 in the National Football League. You add 500 yards to what Ashton Jeanty did his rookie year, top 5 in the National Football League. How differently is the perception of Ashton Jeanty, of the Raiders, of the offense, of the trajectory, of the what could they be with some time? Again, it didn't happen. But Clint Kubiak is here now. Ashton Jeanty is here. Tyler Linderbaum just made history. The Clint Kubiak effect was very real in Seattle. Very real. And it was tangible. You saw the production. The offensive line went from dead last or bottom. I think they were bottom 4 in every major statistical category prior to Kubiak getting there in Seattle. And they became, at minimum, middle of the pack in most of it. That's what we're looking at with Kenneth Walker III. He was 35th in rushing yards pre-Kubiak. Kubiak comes in, he's top 16, top half of the league. And that's with Kenneth Walker III, and this is not throwing strays at K-Dub III in any, but he's a one-trick pony. He didn't catch the ball. He doesn't have that dynamic that Ashton Jeanty is that we saw in that Houston game, where he can catch the ball out of the backfield, good hands, run after the catch, can't be caught down the sideline. Now, the problem is with Ashton Jeanty, we only saw that 2 games. We saw the Chicago game. We saw the Houston game, where he actually got free, got loose, and when he got loose, he went over 100 yards in a big way. He was a difference maker in that game. Now, the Raiders lost both those games. But that's why I'm not talking about wins and losses next year. I'm simply not. We can do that in training camp when we start really narrowing in and honing in on different things. I'm not here to talk wins and losses. It's June 22nd. But I am here to talk about Ashton Jeanty and the Kubiak effect, what that might mean for him. Because you think about 500 yards. 500 yards on its surface is like, Vince, that's a lot. Can we just rush for a couple first downs before we're talking 500 extra yards? I get that. But you talk about 500 yards over the course of a 17-game season, all of a sudden it doesn't seem that crazy, right? All of a sudden you're talking about what is that, 30 extra? I don't know. Again, math's not supposed to be part of this. I should have done that part of the equation before the show. That's shame on me. Ari, where were you on that one? Me up on that one.
Say it again. I'm sorry. No, it's not the math is not the problem for me. It's the comprehension, clearly.
But Ashton Jeanty, again, it's crazy to think 500 more yards. He's a top 5 running back, and all of a sudden, nobody's sitting there saying, should the Raiders have taken him 6th overall? Now all of a sudden you're in Saquon.
That part. You're
in Bijan Robinson. You're Jahmyr Gibbs type conversation.
I also think, I think that offensive rookie of the year might have been maybe a little closer. I feel like that would be, you'd have to give it to him, right? Like that is a huge difference.
I still make the argument that he should have been even more of the conversation again.
Period, yeah.
Context is huge, and considering what he had to work with or lack thereof, he was incredible. I was just off 29.4 yards per game more.
Yeah, that's
so I said 30.
That's significant.
I was right there. It is significant. 3 extra first downs per game. 3 extra runs. 3 times he's not being blown up before he gets the ball.
Yep.
I don't think it's that crazy. If we're sitting here this time next year, Ari, you and me, in the middle of June, and we're sitting there saying, man, Ashton Jeanty was top 5 running back. Just in rushing. And I'm not even talking about his receiving game, which is going to be significant in this offense, without question. I don't think it's crazy to say. I want to hear from the nation, 702-365-9200. The Kubiak effect, what do you think that means for Ashton Jeanty in terms of the running attack? We haven't even really honed in on the fact that Tyler Linderbaum is the ultimate eraser in the interior of the offensive line. Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins. This bleeds into now our second prong, Ari, and you brought this to my attention. I think it's fantastic because it's an interesting way to look at it. We're talking about when's Fernando Mendoza going to be ready? Kirk Cousins, man, he looks like it's just OTAs, just mini camp, so only a couple viewings from me. But I can tell you, Kirk Cousins ain't just going to let that thing. And he's not just opening the door for Fernando to walk through. He understands the writing on the wall. He understands what the future is, and it's spelled Fernando. He understands that. But he's not just going to let it go, let it run wild. Fernando's got to go earn it. And so there was was it CBS Sports that this article?
Yes.
The top 10 backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. And it's a fascinating list. Now, according to CBS Sports, number 1, Mac Jones. Hard to argue. Mac Jones looked good when Brock Purdy went down. Obviously, the Kyle Shanahan effect helps that, I think, a ton. Just innate respect for Kyle. But Mac Jones, good respect. Fernando Mendoza was ranked number 2. I'll be honest with you. When I first saw the article, I was like, who are they listing as the backup? Kirk or Fernando? Because you can make the argument. If they listed Kirk, could be number 1.
Yeah, it's also every time you see like any kind of a Raiders article, you're like, I wonder what the angle is going to be.
Yeah,
whether
how
it's
are they
looking
gonna,
ahead or
how are they going to rip on the Raiders? How are they going to rip on the Raiders or way too early future predictions?
Yeah, I would argue that though. Cousins being the best backup. I mean, unless there's some kind of game minimum. What did he play? Like 7 or something? He didn't play a whole season.
6?
Obviously, yeah.
Was it 6 or 7? Yeah, 6 or 7.
So,
but on the list, it's Mac Jones, Fernando, Joe Flacco. How about that? Marcus Mariota, once a Raider, always a Raider. Jameis Winston, I'll be honest with you, I thought Jameis went full-time World Cup correspondent, and I thought he was just going to be TV forever. They got Jameis Winston as number 5 as the backup. Spencer Rattler, 6. Davis Mills, 7. Andy Dalton / Tanner McKee at 8. Tyson Bagent at 9. Anthony Richardson, 10. Now, this is going to be a stray. If Anthony Richardson's on the list, that's not great.
There's one omission here, and again, maybe it's based on parameters, but where's Jacoby Brissett?
Well, that's a good question.
And again, maybe it's because they kind of split it, and I don't know.
Well, do they consider Jacoby the starter?
Yeah, maybe.
They would have to.
I guess so, because if not, I mean, he's got to be up there a lot higher somewhere, right?
They've got to consider him the starter.
Yeah, that must be why. Okay, fair enough. I wonder where he would rank versus Kirk Cousins.
I think if Kirk Cousins is listed as the backup on this list, he's number 1. I think Kirk Cousins would be ahead of Mac Jones.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe not, but that's I mean. I know Kirko didn't have a great couple of years in the ATL, but his last year looked much better than it did 2 years ago. Immediately off of that injury. So when we look at this two-pronged question we ask, is Ashton Jeanty destined, an automatic, dare I say, top 5 running back in the National Football League as a rusher with Clint Kubiak and Tyler Linderbaum in the fold? At minimum. We haven't even talked about who the starter is, Ari. And that's me saying it doesn't matter which quarterback is the starter. I think, 1, Ashton Jeanty has that talent. 2, I think the system plays up his talents so well that if last year was rock bottom and he still got 975 yards, I don't see any reason why he can't be top 5. 702-365-9200. And the other question, do you agree with the article that was just released that Fernando Mendoza is the second best backup in the NFL? Does that again? We're gonna go with the article. I don't want to get into. Do you think Kirk Cousins is the backup or not? I don't want to get into that. Let's just go with this. Is Fernando already the second? Mind you, he's taking third string snaps during OTAs and minicamp, which I know a lot of people don't like. A lot of people are like, "How's AOC taking more reps with the second team than one Fernando Mendoza?" To that, I say it's early, and let's wait for training camp to really see who's what in terms of that. Because I have said from one, this is Fernando's race. When Fernando reaches that finish line, whatever the finish line is, according to Clint Kubiak, that's when Fernando's going in. He can compete with Kirk. There will be a competition there, but it's not the traditional somebody go win the job. It's Kirk's going to look better in training camp. Kirk knows the offense. He knows Clint. He's going to look better in training camp. I don't think that's a question. So if you're sitting there saying who's the better quarterback today, more often than not, it's probably going to be Clint. It's probably going to be Kirk Cousins. But that's not to say that the leaps and bounds that one Fernando Mendoza can take are going to be exponential. And once he's ready, because I think that's the other part. Once he goes, you don't want him being pulled back. So once he's in there, you give him the keys. You got to let that baby drive. 702-365-9200. Quick call, shall we?
Yes, Thor. Thor in Summerlin.
What's up, Thor?
What's happening, my brother? What's going down, man?
How are you?
Hey, 24/7, 365, baby. It's Raider season, 100%. Let's go, man. There is no off season. I understand it's a slow season right now, but there's no off season. I feel like, man, I'm excited. Honestly, I don't think the numbers. I mean, obviously, numbers are the flashy thing. I don't think the numbers are that big a deal. Like, I know a lot of people that are Niner fans that are or whatever, Philly fans. They all are like, oh my God, Ashton Jeanty is a monster because of that offensive line. Like, people who know football, who watch football games, are like, oh, that dude is a beast. So with the rookie, also with the rookie running back and a 1-2 kind of punch to, you know what I'm saying, and receiving yards, I don't think you have to. He doesn't have to have 1,400 rushing yards. He could have 1,000 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards, and then you got the backup maybe having 500 or 600 yards rushing. You feel me?
Absolutely.
And so the numbers do mean something, but they don't mean everything in that aspect to me. And I think that obviously we are going to run the football. That's what Seattle did. That's what Kubiak wants to do, and I'm here for it, and I love it. Run the football. Let that offense move the chains. Keep the defense off the field, because I believe that defense is going to be good as long as it's not on the field all day. I'm always excited. I think more importantly, you need to like the mental game is the bigger aspect. I know that Jeanty's getting in great shape and he's all yoked up and all that, great. But if he's mentally right, everyone needs to be mentally right. They need to come in ready. I know it's too early. Hey, it's only June, baby. We got a few months to go till we can really, really, really start seeing it. So no need to worry about Fernando and Kurt and Aiden and whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we worry about that in mid-August before the season starts. I don't know, but we always ready. Raider Nation's always going nonstop, 24/7, 365. Anyone who's ready to come initiate into the Raider Nation Drinking Club, we here for you. You initiate anytime you want to, any day. Let's go, baby. Raiders all day, baby. Yay!
That is Thor in Summerlin. Yay. Thor, you are the man. That's a call. That's a call. June 22nd in the afternoon in Las Vegas. Ori, that's what it is.
Thor's always amped up. I love it.
There's no worry for me. There's no worry, and I totally hear what you're saying in terms of the numbers don't matter, and I get that. I'm of the mind that I don't know how much of the backup running back we're going to be seeing. I know Clint Kubiak wants that. Look, you can't have it two ways. You can't say I want a two running back system and then I think Ashton Jeanty is Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey don't leave the field. So do I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle? Yes. I don't think they're going to. I don't think he's getting the Christian McCaffrey treatment unless Christian McCaffrey's where he's just running in the end zone seemingly every other play. That being said, I do think the Kubiak difference, whether we worry about it or not, is going to have a massive impact on the numbers. Again, I don't know what the win total is going to be for this team. I really don't. I have no clue. I have no idea when Fernando's starting. We can have that conversation another day. But the conversation today is the foundation of what Clint Kubiak wants. Running the football. Rick Dennison. John Spytek says everywhere he goes, they run the ball, they protect the quarterback. That's the start. That is the beginning to everything. And if Ashton Jeanty did what he did with a lack thereof of running game, and protecting of the quarterback and getting C+ quarterback play, how can you not think the numbers are going to be of that ilk? And 500 yards, that's 30 yards extra per game. That's 3 extra drives. If the offense can stay on the field for 10 more plays, 15 more plays, I mean, those numbers are not outlandish in the slightest, which is why I think he is destined to be a top 5 running back next season. 702-365-9200 is the number. We want to hear from you. Get your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty, where he's going to rank by season's end. Also, do the Raiders have the best quarterback room in the National Football League? Paul Gutierrez joins us next here on the JT the Brick Show.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by The Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Gino's under center with Ashton Jeanty behind him. Tyler Lockett split out wide left. Bowers and Thomas to the right. Gino's going to roll right. His eyes towards the back of the end zone. He dumps it. Jeanty at the goal line. Touchdown, Raiders. Gino on a 4th and 2. Found Ashton Jeanty right at the goal line. Deuce in the end zone. And with 5:11 to go, the Raiders not done yet. It's 24-9 Cleveland.
He may be known as a bad guy to some. Good guy around these parts. Welcome back in the JT the Brick Show. Vince Sapienza filling in, and joining us now is a cool guy. Raiders columnist Paul Gutierrez, PG.
Hey, yo. That's just my best Razor Ramon I can do. I knew you would get a kick out of that. And when Ari, DJ Ari's on the wheels of steel and he's coming up with the walk-up music for me, and I'm like, okay, let's do some Razor Ramon and see if Vince knows exactly what's happening. And to not be disappointed, you absolutely knew. Bad guy.
We pro wrestling, man. It runs deep. We may be a football guy, hockey guy, but pro wrestling runs deep in these here veins. PG, happy belated Father's Day to you. I hope it was a relaxing weekend. I understand though you were plenty busy. You were rubbing some elbows.
Yeah, rub some elbows, and I mean, my wife is actually the biggest star in the family in terms of the media and everything else that comes with the family, really. And she hosted an event up in the Bay Area, a book signing that Dusty Baker, the former Dodger, I'm going to say that, my Southern California roots sticking by, but also, the manager of the Giants and everywhere else. And he's heading to Cooperstown here fairly soon. I'm certain of that. But he wrote a book, and Amy got to host the book signing and like an hour-long Q&A with fans and everything. So we got to hang out and see him. And I've known Dusty a little bit. I used to be more of a baseball writer in a previous life, so to speak. So it was good to catch up with Dusty. And just you want to talk about cool guys, man. Just Dusty has seen it all. He's done it all. He really is the Forrest Gump of baseball. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was on deck, literally on deck, Vince, when Hank Aaron hit 715 to break Babe Ruth's record. He was a guy that was in the dugout when Barry Bonds set the record for most home runs in a season. And he's met everybody from, Jackie Robinson through the stars of today. So it's really cool to be able to rub elbows with somebody like that. And like I said, just a very, very, very cool guy.
Yeah. How do we get this book? I'm fascinated now. Like I was fascinated when you sent me the pictures. First it was envy, pure envy.
Yeah.
Then anger, and then happiness. And now my curiosity is, how do we get this book?
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, you go to online to Amazon or whatever it's called, It's Dusty Baker's book about himself, about his life, and it's called Crossroads. Beautiful. So, quick, Google is their friend, and you can find it out there. The one thing that I'm kind of upset at myself that I didn't ask him, he grew up in Riverside, but then went to high school and spent his more formative years in Northern California, Sacramento. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a potential Raider connection there for him.
There's got to be something.
And go from there, so... You talk about when he was coming up and he was playing with the Dodgers in the 70s, and the Raiders were the badass Raiders of the 70s, and there's got to be a connection there somewhere, right?
I mean, there has to be. There has to be some crossover, just like as we segue. And one of the things that jumped out to me, I was off last week because of on assignment with the VGK and all the things happening over there. But one thing I did see was Ashton Jeanty's Instagram. And he was clearly on the Paul Gutierrez workout plan because he was jacked, absolutely yoked out of his mind. And it just had me thinking. I was doing some research, and as we touched on at the top of the show, the Kubiak effect was real in Seattle with Kenneth Walker III. His yardage increased year over year, 500 yards. And I know it's not exactly apples to apples, PG, but you had 500 yards to what Jeanty did his rookie year. He would have been top 5 in the NFL last season. Again, I know it's not the end-all, be-all, but talk to us about this Kubiak effect before, and that's not even talking about the additions on the offensive line, the quarterback position, just him, that scheme, Rick Dennison, and all that it brings.
Yeah, if you were to ask me as soon as Kubiak was hired, which player is going to benefit the most or be affected the most by it? You could have put a multiple choice up there, right? You could have said, okay, well, how does it affect Brock Bowers? How does it affect the receivers? Does it affect the offensive line? Immediately, I would have looked for Ashton Jeanty because that's the guy, right? If you looked and you saw Seattle go on that run, and of course their defense was lights out and doing a lot of damage as well. But, to back up a little bit, as somebody wiser than I in the game told me, what makes a defense even better? playing with a lead. And you know how you get that lead? By winning at the line of scrimmage. You know how you win the line of scrimmage? By having a dominant offensive line and letting the running back create and do things. So if you keep going back that way, I look at it as Ashton Jeanty. And when we interviewed him this offseason during OTAs, I mentioned to somebody else in the organization who is in the Hall of Fame and shall remain nameless for now. But I mentioned to this person that, I'm like, look, he is bigger. He is physically much bigger. And he's like, oh, well, he doesn't need to get much bigger. He doesn't need to lose any of that quickness. So I think there's a fine line between being big and being cut. And there's something in there where I think Ashton is doing, because he doesn't need to get any bigger. Getting bigger is not going to help him break any more tackles if he's still getting hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage as soon as he hands the ball. He needs to continue to be shifty and to be fast and to do those things that he's able to do. And those are the attributes that really kind of separate him from anybody else. I mean, he was a top 10 draft pick for a reason. And as I said before, he was a mere 25-yard pickup away from a 1,000-yard rushing season, which is amazing considering how many times we were seeing him getting blasted in the backfield.
Right.
And when you were talking earlier, and you and I were talking wrestling, we could talk pop culture all we want too. What you were talking about, if you just had this here or that there, it reminded me of Bull Durham, Crash Davis talking about a dying quail a week, a ground ball with eyes, a Texas leaguer, and you go from batting 250 to 300. That's how you go from where he is to another 500 rushing yards.
Yeah, the math on that 500 yards is 30 yards extra per game, which, again, is not crazy to me when you consider, again, context matters. The offensive line wasn't good. Quarterback play was not great last year. If any of those just go up a single notch, that's an extra drive. How many more plays do you get in an extra drive? You do that 1.5 times a game. All of a sudden, those numbers add up. We're talking to Paul Gutierrez, Raiders columnist here on the JT the Brick Show. And let's not talk about the on-field stuff. You've talked to many NFL rookies, year over year over year, and what a grind that first year in the league is. Just from a, figuring out life, so to speak. And I thought it was really great in Ashton's presser, I think it was May, about a month ago, when he said, this is my kind of first true offseason I've had in a couple seasons to kind of, just kind of take a breath and then get back at it. Because that rookie season, you were going from end of college to prepping for the NFL draft, combine, meetings, and as a guy who became the 6th overall pick and a guy with a pretty good personality, as we've come to learn over the last year, he's getting ads and sponsorships and commercials and all these different things. It's a lot. Again, no one's saying woe is me to Ashton Jeanty, but when you're talking about, putting it all together, this offseason feels like a really renewed start to that, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And again, you're talking about a guy that Marcus Allen told me the day after they drafted him, he's got the balance of Barry and the explosiveness, the power of Emmett. And if you're a fan of running backs, you don't even need to know the last names of those guys that he was referring to, right? And if Ashton Jeanty has the success, even a modicum of success of those two gentlemen, then you just call him Ashton, and you know exactly who you're talking about. So it's true. There was one of the things, and I remember speaking to him a couple times last year about it. He wasn't used to losing either, the lack of success. And granted, he was coming from Boise State, which is a power amongst the non-traditional power college football teams, right? But he wasn't used to losing either. So now that he has this real off season where he can just kind of take a breath, go to the gym, get yoked up like he is now, and just enjoy everything that comes with being a professional athlete. And with this new regime coming in, there's a comfort factor that's going to be at play as well. Because as a rookie, and we hear this phrase as well too, they just feel like they're continually trying to take a drink out of a fire hose. And because of all the information that's coming at them nonstop. And that's just the mental aspect. And what about the physical things when you're just getting beat up every week?
Right.
So it's good that he is the guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing in terms of what is the Kubiak effect on the running game in general, Ashton in particular.
Key Crawford signs his rookie contract yesterday on Father's Day. As I told Ari, no rest for the weary inside that building. It is business as usual. But, we were having the discussion this morning. I'm really curious your 2 cents on it. There's not a lot of quote-unquote defensive ends listed on the Raiders roster, right? We know Max, Malcolm, and Kwity Paye, and then there's Key Crawford. And this is a guy that feels like he might not be getting the same shine as fellows in his rookie class, like obviously a Fernando. Trayton Stukes has looked amazing from what we've seen. Trey Zune is another guy on the offensive line, but Key Crawford feels like one of those guys that is going to be a key in the rotation in terms of getting to the quarterback.
Oh, he has to be, because like you said, because of the lack of the relative lack of numbers, right, as far as edge rushers go. But you also have to keep in mind that in that base 3-4, there's going to be a lot of linebackers that are going to get some opportunities to stand up and just go after the pass rusher or go after the passer as well. So when it comes to that position, there's a lot of versatility that's going to be involved there. And with Robbie Leonard's defense, there's going to be a lot of, okay, let's let Max Crosby kind of freelance and do his thing and do Max Crosby things over here, while everybody else is going to have to really hit their gaps hard, let those heat-seeking missiles at linebackers attack the quarterback as well. And really the game is going to be not decided, but the tone of the game, the tempo of the game is going to be decided on first down. Because if you can keep those second and third downs manageable and make them long for the opposing offense, then whoever is out there, whether it's Key Crawford or Kwity Paye or Max or Malcolm Kuntz, they're going to be able to get back, and do their work and go and eat. So a lot of it depends upon what's going on those first two downs, and because of the versatility that everybody's got there, because they really still don't have that quintessential, prototypical big monster at nose tackle for a 3-4, but they have a lot of pieces. And that's what's going to be interesting about this is with Rob Leonard's defensive scheme. It's as far as the defensive linemen are concerned, it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss, because he was their position coach for the past couple of years. So they know exactly what he does. They know what he's made of. They know what his mentality is. It's the rest of the defense that's going to have to step up now and figure out exactly where to go. As I said right at the top here, what helps the defense the best, what makes the defense even better, playing with a lead.
I think PG's got a few reps at that nose tackle spot. Ari,
not me. No.
After that gym getting Ashton yoked up, I'm giving you full credit. As they once say, nobody tells Rez Ramon what to do. Nobody does it better than Paul Gutierrez. PG, Raiders columnist. What do we have to look out for on Raiders.com from the world of PG?
Yeah, what's interesting is went on vacation last week, was in the Bahamas. That was really nice. Back ready to hit it now. But we did a couple of podcasts before we left, and right now Eric Allen and I are on the website, and we're breaking down the defensive side of the ball. And coming up this week, the voice of the Raiders and I, Jason Horowitz, we kind of attack the offensive side of the ball. And maybe we talk a little bit about Ashton Jeanty. Who knows?
He's really into Game of Thrones. He's playing catch-up right now, he told me. So
that's right.
He's really all hopped up on the dragons and things of that nature. PG, you're the man. Appreciate it. Go check up upon further review. Raiders.com, all his work, and up on the Raiders YouTube as well. Paul, you're the best. Appreciate you.
And as Scott Hall /Razor Ramon said, one more for the bad guys.
There he is. And away he goes. Razor Ramon. Oh, it's not Razor. That's PG. Sorry. It was such a good impression. I didn't know who else. I forgot for a second. This is the JT the Brick Show. Vince Sapienza filling in 702-365-9200. More talk on the way.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Shout out my chef. He kind of an old head, bro. He 40, you know what I'm saying? He unk status, but we just went to like a record store one day, got some vinyls, and I love music, so just started collecting them. And good decorations around the crib, you know what I'm saying? Good music. Got a little bit of old school, you know what I'm saying? Stevie Wonder, James Brown, Marvin Gaye. Got a little bit of everything. I think Uncle appreciate this. We got the usher, you know what I'm saying?
Ashton Jeanty giving us a sneak peek of his game day mix. That's what that sounds like.
I'm proud of that young man. That is good.
You approve?
I do, except the old, what did he say? He kind of old. He's like 40. Yeah. He knows, too. He was laughing. This is off of his live. He's chuckling. He knows what he's doing.
I'm telling you, he is a low-key great personality.
I loved him from the start. Yeah, I agree with that.
He's a little guarded still at times. But again, that's a natural thing when you're just, even at Boise State, like there's not a ton of media, even for a guy like him that was breaking all these kinds of records. Like even at Boise State, there was not a lot. So I don't know if guarded is the right word. That feels defensive, but he's just more careful. I don't know. Just keeps it simple.
Low key.
Yeah, nice and low key.
You know what else? I'll just add, this is kind of a more personal thing, but our boss, Natalie Marsh, her son went to Boise State, and her son is awesome. I knew him when he was young. Great kid, like great guy. So I trust his assessment of people. And he had said, and this isn't for sports radio, this is just his personal, from what I understand, he said he's a really cool guy. Got a chance to have a class with him or something. And yeah, so that's kind of the more, that to me tells a lot. Because, we see what we see, but that's the real person he's seeing. So
Jeanty come from military family.
That
understand,
too,
that also adds to the demeanor a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why you also can respect a guy like Clint Kubiak, all about ball, all about the business at hand.
Amen.
Task at hand. Hey, we got a little bit of news this hour.
Oh.
Bill Foley, Golden Knights owner, officially putting in his bid to the National Basketball Association about bringing an NBA franchise to Vegas. Ari, I can tell you, when a man of that ilk puts his hat in the ring, so to speak, he doesn't expect it to be handed back to him.
Right. Yeah. And the timing of it, too. I think we've been talking about this for a while. The idea that it's not if but when, so feels pretty good.
Time is now.
Yeah, clearly.
How many conversations
when
you
he
think
says so.
How many combos do you think him and Braun have had?
I don't know.
Oh, wait, is that not legal? Braun's still playing. He's got another 10 years.
It's business. I don't know.
Yeah, just a little lunch.
That's billionaire stuff.
Just
I don't know
lunch.
nothing about that.
That's hour number one. Hour number two on the way. Andy Phillips, former NFL offensive lineman, joins us next.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Vince Sapienza sitting in the chair for JT the Brick here on a Monday. Hour number two, JT the Brick Show, June 22nd, 2026. Ari on the ones and twos. Our first voyage into the fray, as they say. And hour one was smooth sailing, baby. Felt good. Felt real good.
Good pun.
702-365-9200 is the number. It's a little two-pronged question today. We're trying to pack as much as we can in on a Monday because we only have so much time. We only have 4 weeks and 3 days until rookies report for training camp, Ari.
I mean, we say that with a smile, but man, it goes quick. It might not feel that way this particular week or maybe next week, but next thing you know, it's
a few vacays when they kick in. Next thing you know, we're going to be right back here in the hot sun.
If you look at it this way, too, this will blow your mind, I think anyway.
Okay.
Less than 2 months away from the first preseason game.
Oh!
So, when you look at it like that, it's like, whoa, that is kind of, hey,
I just got the notification on top of Bill Foley putting in his request for the NBA, for the NBA franchise, that we are 89 days away from the first Golden Knights preseason game.
Man,
which, can we?
Like we said, dead season all around.
Yeah.
There's never anything to talk about. And
there's no off seasons, just slow seasons, and I'm still waiting for it to slow down. 702-365-9200. What we're talking about today is Ashton Jeanty. Is he destined to be a top 5 running back this season under Clint Kubiak, Rick Dennison? And do the Raiders have the best quarterback room in the NFL? A recent article said the second best backup in the NFL is already Fernando Mendoza in terms of the quarterback position. But if that's Kirk Cousins, does that make that number 1? And if it's number 1, does that make that the best quarterback room in the league? I'm just trying to connect dots, and that's why I'm asking questions. Can I ask questions? Can I be a curious guy on June 22nd? 702-365-9200. We got some texts, Ari.
We do. Let's see. Raider Dave, question. Has there ever been any running back before yards in Ashton Jeanty? Whoa. Okay. It's a little disjointed. Hang on. Good old voice to text. Yards in Ashton Jeanty had last year. Okay. Has there ever been any running back before Ashton Jeanty that had the yardage that he had last year that had been hit behind the line more than 50% of the time, I guess is what he's asking. Sorry, I got jumbled, Dave.
Yeah, no, I think the answer is no. I think he was hit behind the line of scrimmage at a historical rate considering how many times he carried the ball. I would have to fact check that one. Is he asking Raider Dave, or is that Raider Dave?
No, that's Dave's question.
Yeah, so he's trying to fact check that. I can look that up.
Yeah,
probably at a different time. Let me see if
without
I can find
the
that.
numbers. I mean, my inclination is yes as well. Like, or very close to, if not like historically, like you said.
I mean, Ashton Jeanty's snaps. I had it right here. Hold a moment. His attempts. He had 266 attempts. I can't imagine another running back getting that number of attempts and not seeing the success. Could be wrong, but I find it hard to believe. I need to do a little more digging on that one.
Okay, that's a good one. We'll look into that. Let's see. Kareem said, "Good day, Vince. Good show, my brother. Great topic, and please add the same thing with Dennison's impact. Our O-line will be much better." So he's asking the question with Dennison's impact.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you as always. But no, I think when we talk about the Kubiak effect, I don't think you can say the Kubiak effect without Rick Dennison, because they have been part and parcel, hand in hand in all of this, going back to Clint's dad, Gary, in terms of Gary and Rick Dennison working together, winning together. And again, we've talked about it many a times on my show in the Morning Tailgate, with Vinny, that Rick Dennison might be the most overqualified assistant coach in the National Football League. This is a 4-time Super Bowl champion who, again, has seen it, done it, understands what an offensive line needs to look like, the pieces necessary to have a successful offensive line. So when you look at, and this is with all due respect to the offensive line coaches in the National Football League, Rick Dennison's the most overqualified assistant in the NFL. And I don't think it's close. Just for what he has done and the fact that he continues to hitch his ride to Clint Kubiak. Loyalty is one thing to a family. It's another thing to do the grind that is the NFL, day in and day out, year in and year out. How many seasons has Rick Dennison done this? And to do so in an assistant coaching capacity for Clint Kubiak, to follow him around from stop to stop, my goodness, there's a belief there. There's not just a, hey, I love the kid because I loved his dad. There is a belief in a guy that, no, that's a winner. That's a guy that knows that's a guy that can command a room. That's what has me excited for Rick Dennison. It's not just the Super Bowls. It's what the Super Bowls represent and him attaching himself to that. Another man who knows a thing or two about offensive lines, a former NFL offensive lineman himself, a best seller. Round 0 inside the NFL draft, former Packer. Friend of the program and a friend to me. In a split second, I say, Andy, I need you, bud. He's like, I got you. Andy Phillips joining us here on the JT the Brick Show. Andy, good morning. Happy Monday. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. This is crazy. The different parts of the world we live. This is the end of my work day, and you just told me good morning. So
I did. I guess it's still afternoon. It's Ari. It's still afternoon here. It's the morning somewhere.
It's whatever you want.
I'm good, though, man. I'm good. I appreciate you.
All right. Andy, I want to start here. We're talking Ashton Jeanty, and does he have the goods? Is he destined to be a top 5 running back next season? I want to ask you this way. How does an offensive line get good in late June?
Listen, this time of year, especially when you get into the OTA mini camps, I mean, now everyone's gone. Right now it's about those guys just getting healthy and making sure that when they come into camp and the pads get thrown on and the reps get real, that they're ready to roll. But the OTA and mini camp, the hope at that time when there's no pads is you're working on your chemistry, you're working on your fits. The difference between making contact as a guard and a tackle, for example, at the exact same time or a split second different is the difference in potentially 2 to 3 yards of ground gained in a double team. I mean, it is dynamite when you can connect at the same time. And when you don't, there's a lot of stalemates, and that makes it really hard to run the offense that Kubiak wants to run. So during the offseason for the Raiders and those linemen, it's all about getting your fits and your timing correct. And then just the communication of the offense and how deep can we get into checking in and out of protections, in and out of calls, how detailed can we get? That's what you do this time of year. But from an individual standpoint, at this point, it is, hey, we got about 3-4 weeks off. Let me get my body ready for the war that is ahead, which is a long, grueling NFL season.
You brought up chemistry among offensive linemen. We saw a lot of chemistry with this Raiders offensive line seen together with the running backs and quarterbacks, I might add, at the Golden Knights during their Stanley Cup playoffs. They were having a good time, tarps off, whipping the fans and everything into a frenzy. So feels like that's in a good place. Let me ask you this. We were just talking about the famed, the one-of-one coach that is Rick Dennison, 4-time Super Bowl champion, now offensive line coach for the Raiders. And I ask you this as simply as I can, but not trying to understate or overstate anything. How important is coaching for the offensive line? Because you have told me that, hey, no matter what, it takes time. You can't microwave. This isn't ramen, right? You got to bake this thing. They got to build together. But how much does the process, get expedited with a coach in the fold like a Rick Dennison that has seen everything from all ends of the spectrum?
It's massive, and I can't even begin to over-exaggerate how important an offensive line coach is to the scheme. There can be fun titles, especially in college when everyone's trying to climb the ladder, and you can give somebody run game coordinator. But if you have a good offensive line coach, he better be your run game coordinator. He better be the one in the meetings letting your offensive coordinator and letting your head coach know week in and week out what he sees on the film that you can capitalize on from a run game, from the angles that you're going to get. Where is your leverage? Where is your advantage? Where is their weak spot? Where can we attack? That's every great offensive line coach in the NFL should be deemed your run game coordinator because he's the one that sees that. And like you said, Dennison, he's been around since the 80s, the early 80s in the NFL.
Right.
He's seen everything. And I've told you guys this before too. When you get to the NFL and the coaching, especially at offensive line, college coaches are your expert developers. NFL coaches, there's a lot less time to develop and a lot more time of figuring out what you have and how to maximize that player. And a lot of that might not be development. It might just be understanding this guy can take a 6-inch, vertical step on a deuce block. This guy has to get rolling and can't even take that 6 inches, better be 3 inches. I mean, it's as simple as that. You're figuring out what you have, and you have to be able to adjust. And then when it comes to the X's and the O's, I mean, heck, your offensive line coach by the third series should be able to have an understanding of every positive potential play you could have the rest of the game by what you're getting up front, not only knowing his own guys and maybe, so-and-so's having a day or so-and-so's off his game, but really just you can understand within 3 series or your first 15 plays, you should be able to understand exactly what you're going to get from the defense schematically, and you should be able to go right to the offensive coordinator or head coach and say, we need more of this, we need more of that. Take this out. It's not going to work today. And it's the veteran O-line coaches, quote-unquote, your run game coordinators, that see that and can be the ones to really enhance your offense the day of the game once it's already started.
I know that there's no exact, hey, this is going to happen when. But as we, continue to inch closer and closer to training camp, and it's no secret, the Raiders' offensive line was the worst in the NFL a season ago. It has to be changed. It has to be upgraded in a massive way. When will we know? Like, when does a team know what they have in an offensive line? Like, I ask you in two ways. Like, when did the Raiders understand, like, it just wasn't going to get any better than it was last year, and how quickly that could change this training camp when the pads do go on?
I mean, that's going to be different for every team, but I think by mid-October you're going to have an idea. And that idea might just be everything's there, and then the development the rest of the season gets even stronger. But typically, I would say week 6, week 7, you're going to know what you have. You're going to know the makeup you have. You're going to know if it's working. You're going to know if the potential is what you think it can be, because the reps will be there. And by then, you're going to have seen, a team that you should make your doormat. You're going to see a team that tries to make you their doormat, and you're going to see at least a division opponent or two. Who knows you inside and out. You're just going to see everything by week 6, week 7, and you're going to see if the guys have developed. I mean, that's just period. And again, I'd love to say that it takes a little bit of time. Post Thanksgiving, you'll really know.
Right.
But you can see pretty early on if the team, especially that unit, if they have gelled. And if they're progressing. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not saying week 7 you guys should be looking for 250 yards on the ground and 0 sacks. But what I'm saying is you can at least see, the DNA of the unit and what they are. Whether they're a dominant zone blocking team, dominant pimple, this team does not give up pressures, or this isn't it. I mean, you're going to be able to tell by, say, week 6, week 7.
Talking to former NFL offensive lineman, best-selling author Andy Phillips here on the JT the Brick Show. Vince Sapienza filling in. When you saw what Tyler Linderbaum signed for this offseason, did the knees all of a sudden start feeling better? Did the lower back feel like, I got a few more reps?
Hey, the knees were feeling better when I saw what guys made 10 years ago. It didn't change the ability, my friend.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Welfare checking, all that. What makes Tyler Linderbaum worth that piece of dough? What makes him as they call him, the ultimate eraser in the middle of that offensive line?
Listen, he is not only the closest person to the quarterback from a proximity standpoint, obviously, on the field. He is also the voice of the offense until said quarterback is ready to be that voice. And in a perfect world, they're a unit, and they are one voice. But until Mendoza, whenever it's his time, until he becomes the clear-cut, I'm the only voice you should hear in this huddle, I'm the final voice at the line of scrimmage, until that day comes, you're going to get a guy, a veteran at center, who can do that for you. And I cannot even begin to overstate how important that is for a young quarterback, because you got to remember, this guy is going to walk up to the line of scrimmage, and he's going to see things with 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds going on the play clock. He's going to see things he's never seen before and they haven't shown on film. And it's going to seem overwhelming for him. But if he can just focus on a few of those things and let Linderbaum handle the rest, it will help him tremendously. That alone was worth half the price of admission for getting that guy in the building. Then you throw in what he does on the field, and his first step is quickness, the inside hand he can get going on the reach blocks, the anchor he has, the ability to set versus a heavy nose, or the ability to just get out in space and be the athlete that he is. There's your other half. But listen, is it a lot of dough for a center? Some would think so. But if I had to power rank the NFL teams that were going to pay a center that kind of money, the Raiders would have been at the top of the list for all those reasons.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I'm curious, in your time, how do you – because there's the old saying, right, fake it till you make it. And that's tough to do at the quarterback position because there's so many things that they have to do. But, what we see, whether, from up in the press box or even on TV, you could sit there and say, it just the receiver ran a wrong route. But, for you in the huddle, you guys know guys who can go and guys who can throw and guys who can't do any of that. So how quickly are you able to decipher when a quarterback can or can't?
You know what's crazy is a lot of times from a skill position perspective, a lot of guys know within the first week of training camp, is this guy going to be a guy or not?
Wow.
I mean, it's that simple. I'm sure with the Brock Bowers, they knew. I'm sure with a guy like Ashton Jeanty, those guys knew as soon as they got their first inside drill, 9-on-7 drill in, and that guy found 18 inches of daylight that no one else on the field saw, but he got it and hit it and got 7 yards. I'm sure they knew. I mean, there's just little things. I think quarterback's different because I think quarterbacks can have – remember, Peyton Manning threw 20 interceptions as a quarterback. But I'm sure nobody went into year 2 questioning was this the guy or not because they saw enough of the little moments. And the little moments as a rookie quarterback could be, man, I just threw my first pick 6 in my career. and you come out that next series and you fire a 12-yard dig route for a first down on the first play, that will show everybody right there, all right, the guy has a short memory. That's what we need. But if you follow that pick six up by airmailing a slant route right into the center fielder's hands, then you're going to have some questions about does he have the mental makeup. It's going to be those little moments throughout the year that you're really going to have a better idea in the building, is this the guy or not. It's not going to have anything to do with, well, did he throw for 3,700 yards? What was his touchdown-interception ratio? That's not going to be it. Because we've also seen guys come out and light those type of numbers up. C.J. Stroud, right, 3 years ago.
Right.
He's had the touchdown-interception ratio. He hit all the plays you thought he needed to make. Okay, but then we just saw him in the playoffs versus the Patriots get squared up a few times, and they were saying seeing ghosts. I just think it was as simple as the guy's rattled. Yeah, hit it a little bit hard. Guys were coming at him a little bit fast, and he kind of sunk in the moment. Doesn't mean his career's over, but it's those little moments that Fernando can show this year that should give the Raiders in the building the confidence they need. If there's improvement mentally every single week, and there's more of an ownership on the playbook, an ownership in the huddle, an ownership at the line of scrimmage, and as long as those little things throughout the game start stacking, that's what's going to matter. So quarterback's a little bit of a deeper bake because you need to see moments like that. You need to see how does he respond to tough moments. How is he in this fourth quarter? How is he on 3rd and 15? But guess what? We got to move these chains. Buckle up. I mean, it's the little moments that make quarterback such a unique position. That's just going to take time throughout the season. But those guys in the building, they'll know.
He's Andy Phillips. Follow him on the X at APhil66. Andy, before I let you go, your Let's Go Red Wings. Some problems with your El Capitan. Sounds like El Capitan Dylan Larkin wants to make his way over to Vegas. What's going on over there?
I'm here in Vegas or Boston.
Oh,
and it is funny how fast a fan base can turn on a guy.
That's a Michigan man made.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he is Michigan high school, Michigan college, Michigan pro. I mean, you gotta listen. I'm never for captains. I think that's the tough part to swallow. Is you're talking to a franchise that had Lindstrom, Yzerman, and Howe. And the thought of those captains ever asking out seems insane. But we are in a new world. We're in a world where Captain Quinn Hughes gets traded last year. We're in a world where yesterday Captain Brady Tkachuk gets traded. So it's just a different world. And the captain thing doesn't mean you have to be tied down for 2 decades. I wish Larkin luck. Selfishly, I was hoping when he wanted to get moved, I was hoping somehow that would land Brady Tkachuk in Detroit, because he feels like such an original six type of player. He would have fit Hockey Town so well. He would have been a perfect mix of Brendan Shanahan and Darren McCarty for that city. But instead he goes down to play with his brother, and I think we have ourselves the new favorites in the league, even though they missed the playoffs this year. We'll see.
Will you tell Dylan that the weather's mighty nice here in Vegas? That there's a lovely neighborhood in Summerlin that I can point him to. But you just let him know.
Listen, you guys would love him. Do you want to know why you'd love him? Honestly,
because he's a gold medalist and an American.
That's true, damn straight. But he's just the hair older, hairless, talented version of Jack Eichel. He's a two-way center that will give you 80 points compared to Eichel's 90, but he would run the absolute hell out of your second line.
Yeah,
because he isn't a true one-line center champion. It's not him. He's always the guy who's he can be your top-line center and you can be a solid team, or he can go to a team and be their number 2 and he's your second best center, he's running your second line, and now you're a champion. So I think you guys would love him because you're dang, he's a lot like Eichel, maybe just a little bit less talented, but he plays the exact same way.
Yeah, you want to play with Mark Stone, you want to play with Mitch Marner, you get to pick. How about that? There you go.
Exactly. It's disgusting.
Last one. I know you're a Central Michigan man, but I'd be remiss if I didn't get the pulse of Michigan. Dusty May leaving.
Yeah. It's funny. I gather just from, it's funny, you can hop on For me, I always gather the pulse of Michigan and Michigan State by Facebook. It's about the only thing I see on Facebook. I pretty much stay off of that. But Facebook was popular when I was in high school and I was living in Michigan, so I get the pulse of the fan base from that. And most people are mad, but they're not mad at Dusty. They understand the nature of it. He did deliver. I think that's the difference. I think let's just say they would have lost the national title this year, I think people would have been mad that he, quote unquote, didn't finish the job. He wasn't there as long as Harbaugh, but the same sentiment. Harbaugh left. As long as he finished the job, I think that's what Michigan people care about. Now, I think the hard part for Michigan fans is I just think they thought it would have happened earlier. I don't think they expected it this late in the game. And I say late in the game, but the NBA season just ended. Yeah, but coaching vacancies have been open for a while because the teams firing the coaches have been done for a while. So that I think it was more of just a shock. The NBA drafts tomorrow, and our guys leaving. So I think it was just a little bit of that. I think the interesting part though is John Shire reportedly said no.
Yeah,
and he coached Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Now, again, I get it. I think it's the same thing though. I think if John Shire was the coach of UCLA, he would have been gone. I think his alma mater, he wants to be able to come back to that place, and I think he knows the only way he can come back if he leaves is if he had won the title, if he had brought home a championship. But I think he also feels, Coach K, he could have picked any one of his former players and pretty much been the final say in front of that board, and he picked John. And I think that he understands that there was a lot of weight on Coach K to find a guy who could retain the program to the excellence that they're at and be there for a long time. And I think John Shire understands that and doesn't want to make Coach K look stupid and wants to be able to come home. So that'd be my guess, because if you're going to take an NBA job, why would you not want to go no state tax, go on down to a place that has one of your own Dukies in Cooper Flagg and one of your former Dukies in Kyrie Irving? So that's just me.
Andy Phillips, what can't this guy do? Football, hockey, college hoops. Friend of the program, friend to the flagship that is the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio 920. Andy, I hope the Lynx are treating you well. Get some rest this summer.
Yeah.
It can always get better.
What can't this guy do? I almost blurted out golf. But we'll see tomorrow how they go.
Andy, appreciate you. That's Andy Phillips, former NFL offensive lineman, best-selling author, Round Zero, Inside the NFL Draft. Andy Phillips is the man. Love that guy. All right, still to come here on the JT the Brick Show. Vince Sapienza filling in. Jeff Sherman, veteran, Vegas odds maker. We're going to talk a little World Cup. We're going to talk a little future odds in the National Football League. We'll continue to get your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty being a top 5 runner next season. 702-365-9200 right here on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Here's Almada on the move for the world champions. Now Medina, pulled back here, lets it run. Messi! History in Dallas! 40 years to the day since Diego Maradona scored the hand of God. Lionel Messi scores the goal to make him the World Cup's all-time leading scorer.
The numbers are going to be insane when they pull the viewership from today's Argentina. That's how you say it, right, Ari?
Sure.
That's how you...
Sure.
Argentina.
That wasn't me laughing in the background or anything. No, it's great.
Those numbers are going to be massive. All to see the GOAT get the goal-scoring title in World Cup history. But from one GOAT to another, veteran, Vegas odds maker, friend of the program, friend to Raider Nation Radio 920, Jeff Sherman, joining us here on a glorious Monday. Jeff, how are we? Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you.
Doing well, thanks. How's it going?
It's not as good as it's going in Argentina right now, because it is clean despite the messy. See what I did there, Ari? Jeff, talk to me about the World Cup. Viewership is through the roof the last couple weeks in terms of it obviously being here in North America. But what What kind of action is the World Cup scene? Is it getting as much flavor and love as the viewership on TV?
It is, and as expected, it's on the popular teams, such as Argentina today.
Mm-hmm.
Public did really well with that game. They went up as a goal favorite, got to a 2-0 win at the end there, and Messi, with his 5th goal of the tournament, actually should have had 6, missed a penalty kick. So they're behind the popular teams and doing well when they do well.
Are there teams out there, like, again, we know the public is going to hit hard the favorites, right? We understand, France, as you said, Argentina. What about the United States now? They win their first 2 games, back-to-back wins for the first time in literally forever. How I imagine they're picking up steam as a future prop. Is that fair?
Yeah, they're down to 25-1, and they are a liability for just about every book. So it's still an outsider compared to all the top teams, and have a ways to go, but definitely a great start for them.
Is the World Cup bringing more bodies inside these books? Because we're in this world of everything's on the phone now and the apps and things of that nature. But has this brought out more of the bodies? And if so, does that reflect any kind of spike in what action you guys see?
Yes, to both. And, you just don't find that type of energy if you're watching the match at home or even in a bar. You come to the books and it's on the large screens, and you get that energy, especially when the top teams are playing. The U.S. matches have been fantastic. So, and that does drive the wagering handle, too, at the same time. But so far, a great response since the inception of the tournament.
It's a 7 o'clock kickoff for the United States against Turkey. I believe it's Thursday. But that kind of energy, because I've been in books for Super Bowls and for, NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, things of that nature. How does it compare?
Well, not quite to that degree because the way the game is spaced out. But anytime that there's a close goal, you hear the oohs and ahs, and when someone scores, you hear the eruption. So a lot of far and few between versus the American sports. But you feel the energy, especially the build up to when you see a run of play. And one thing I can mention, U.S. playing Turkey, you brought that one up. Before the tournament started, U.S. would have been a small favorite in that match, like pick -125. They're -0.5 goal, -110. So it's been a very large move in response to the way the U.S. has been playing.
All right, so the books want to, show their American pride, but just maybe not too much. Maybe not too much the rest of the way. Jeff, let's talk a little Golden Knights, and then we'll get to the Raiders. The Golden Knights get to their 3rd Stanley Cup final in 9 seasons. They're now on their 5th head coach, heading into year 10. What kind of dynamic does that bring? Not only you, but the books, and as you're putting together these runs that this team is going on, because this is not normal, and the proverbial shoe has to drop at some point, you would think, but they feel like they're Teflon, where everything bounces off them and they're just invincible.
Yeah, and this was the first year that we didn't have liability going into the playoffs on the Knights. We've had it every other year, but the wagering handle is driven by how deep and well they do. And so, if they're out early, like the one year they missed the playoffs, that affects the wagering handle. So the deeper they can go, just like this year, fantastic wagering handle, and a lot of support for them, and they came up just short, as we know.
I would be remiss. I'm filling in for JT the Brick, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what the Knicks did to the books here in town with not only the NBA final itself, but really their entire run in general, being one of the popular teams in the country and doing what they did.
Well, the public started supporting them in the games themselves when they went on that run. So in the later stages of the games, they had some liabilities. But as far as the futures all season, they were one of the ones that we were in good shape with. Small winner to the Knicks. Had liability on San Antonio because their odds were longer. You could have found them 50 to 60 to 1 prior to the season. The Knicks started, 10 to 12 to 1, got as high as 20. So that liability doesn't add up as quickly, even though they're as popular as they are being New York based. But they were a good result for the books overall.
We talk about this being the dead period, especially with the Stanley Cup final done, NBA playoffs done, but NBA, the NBA machine that is roster change and player movement is kind of at its highest now. Everybody on Giannis watch. Is this the part of the job for you where like your antennas have to be up more now, maybe more than ever?
Well, that's a fun part of it. I love this stuff, keeping up on the information, the player movement, and being able to adjust the prices as we see things come in like that. And obviously, you mentioned Giannis supposed to be traded by tomorrow, and narrowed down to one of two teams at this point, Miami and Boston. So the books will be a little bit lower on those teams right now than they would have been if there were no rumors involved. So a little bit of defense at this time of year.
Everybody's looking for value, Jeff. Jeff, where do we find the value on June 22nd in not only the NBA but just in general? I mean, is this the time where all of a sudden the attention for the public, starts going to baseball, or is it still a little too early?
No, it's on baseball most definitely, but you start seeing all the football heat up now, and we're taking on a daily basis Raider bets, every other team. It's just the most popular thing going. So you're going to see that all summer, and it never slows down from that perspective.
What does the action tell you then about the Raiders?
Well, it's a lot of just public action on it. So support, they've been bet to make the playoffs from 6-1 down to 5.5-1. Their season win total 5.5 over $1.40. Not too much movement there. The Sharps have not gotten involved too much with them yet. So when that tips the hand closer to the season starting, then we'll be able to get more of an indication on what the outlook looks for them.
Some of our audience might not be privy. When you say goes from 6-1 down to 5.5, how drastic is that when the public is going, oh, maybe these guys could make the dance?
Well, it matters how much liability we build up when we feel comfortable of moving it down to a point. And usually you don't get too much of the public laying a price like -$9, which was the price on them missing the playoffs. So we're more at liberty to move it down and see what that price point might be to attract some on the other side. And so far, it's just been one-way traffic on the Raiders making the playoffs.
I've been talking about Ashton Jeanty all afternoon today and how I believe he's the top 5 running back this season, just with all the change. And that's not knowing how well the Raiders are going to be in the standings or win-loss records. When you say football's heating up, does that include the prop bets for Offensive Player of the Year, MVP, things of that nature?
No doubt. And Jeanty's seeing support for MVP at 200-1. And, usually you don't see a running back involved in that. So they do have long odds, but he's getting the local support at 200-1.
Okay. Now, 200-1. Ari, we might need to make a stop. We're talking to Jeff Sherman, veteran Vegas odds maker. Jeff, I'm a little upset because I saw a tweet that said Wyndham Clark's odds to win the 2026 U.S. Open were plus 10,000 in December. What? Where was the heads up on that one? Oh, that feels like value if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, it's tough for these guys to win. He's won the U.S. Open before. He was sitting 100-1 in December. He was 50-1 going into the tournament this past Thursday, and he was coming off a recent win too. So, you could have found him at 80 to 100-1 just over a month ago. And he's just one golfer that. He went on a run lately and saw a lot of support over the last month, and that drove him down to 50-1 at this point. And now I got him at 50-1 for the Open Championship too. And one of my things, it's tough to win back-to-back majors, so you might find a little bit less out there on the market, 30-40-1. But it's such a deep pool right now with the golf that when these guys win, you should get a nice payoff like they did this past week.
Jeff Sherman, follow him on the X at Golf Odds. And again, I end here with golf because of that handle itself. But who do you like? Aside from Wyndham, I know not a lot of people like Wyndham just in general. Apparently he punches holes in what was it called? The locker? Punches holes in the locker. But hey, as long as he gets it done on the golf course, who do we like in these majors?
Well, I've been on Russell Henley and Siwoo Kim on each major so far, and I've been betting. I'm on Siwoo Kim again this week up at the Travelers Championship at 33-1. So these guys I think they're underrated in their course performance based on what their name is. So I've been sticking with them this year, and those are two guys that if you don't follow golf too closely, you might not be that familiar with, but they're playing some solid golf this season.
All right, Jeff. Last one. We start World Cup. Let's end World Cup. Who do we like to take this?
Well, I could give you the ones that I played, and this was way before the tournament started, but I got Spain at 8-1, Colombia at 100-1, and Morocco at 75-1. So I took some long shots the way that they went in with qualifying into the tournament. So, but I mean, it looks like you look on paper, and France is a starting point. I mean, they ended up cutting some players from their squad that easily could have started for many other of the top squads out there. So France is a starting point, but when you look down the list, I like Colombia and Morocco as some long shots.
I like Morocco a lot. That feels real nice. Jeff, you didn't say the good old US of A. Come on, Jeff. We're bringing it back. It's going to become our sport now here in a few short weeks.
Yeah, as much as I support him, though, there's no value in the price of it.
They got too hot. They got too hot too quick. Damn, maybe next time. Jeff Sherman, he at Golf Odds on the X. It's the first place I go anytime I'm looking to see what news notes I need to know ahead of the big games. Jeff, really appreciate the time, as always. Thanks so much. Let's do it again soon.
All right, thanks, Vince.
All right, that is Jeff Sherman, veteran Vegas odds maker at Golf Odds on the X. No value in the US of A, Ari?
Hey, man, that's betting for you.
These colors don't run.
Nothing matters when it's except the green, right?
The colors may not run, but are they green?
I'm just saying. I'm sure Jeff would agree.
Morocco picks, really nice. Colombia picks, interesting. Maybe I need to do some more homework on them. Maybe I didn't watch them close enough. But España, Argentina.
Yeah, that was great.
You don't like the way
I'm giving you a hard time.
Unbelievable. The disrespect.
Fantastico.
Plus 10,000 Wyndham Clark in December to win. He was, I have it right here. He was plus 12,500 after winning his last tournament heading into the thing. If you would have listened to Jeff, you would have known. That's why you got to do it. That's why we have him on. He's the man. All right. We're going to take one final break here on the JT the Brick Show, 702-365-9200. We'll get some final thoughts from you. Ashton Jeanty, top 5 running back. Yay, nay. We want to hear from you next.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
I believe he has a higher ceiling than Mendoza or Simpson. Now, I still would have had him at QB3 if he was in this past draft. Both those guys, I think, are pro-ready. Sorsby, a little bit more of a project, but if you took Carson Beck or you took Drew Aller or Cade Klubnik in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever it was, this guy's better. So why not double down, grab him for a 2nd or a 3rd? The value's there because he would have been a 1st-round pick or an early 2nd, and I think you have a guy that can be a franchise quarterback.
Welcome back in the JT the Brick Show. It's just that franchise quarterback word is just getting thrown around, isn't it? Is that just me? I mean,
it feels a little bit the conversation.
Talking about Brendan Sorsby,
correct? Yes, being in the part of the non-dead season that we are in, it feels a little bit like there's a lot of meat to this conversation right now, and it's kind of early. So
yeah,
I get it.
My stance on the Sorsby deal: should he never be allowed to play football again? No, but does there he's feeling the consequences. He's losing, what is it, $2 million by not being able to play in college because he's done in college. Yeah. Now you're hoping another team in the NFL somebody's going to put in a draft pick. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. Somebody's going to put it in, but you're not guaranteed anything by getting to the NFL. You're missing his consequences also, again, rightfully so. You did something you're not supposed to do. His consequence is missing out on the growth and the ability to get better that would have made him even more money.
Yep.
So that's a consequence in itself. But if he gets added to a quarterback room, does that change the perception of the Raiders having the best quarterback room in the NFL?
That's the question. And that's my point, is the emphasis on how big of a this guy is, that essentially, for me anyway, dropped out of the sky just like Fernando Mendoza did a year ago. And that's me being a casual. Like, I'm not saying I'm locked in. But yeah, I hadn't heard much, and now all of a sudden, oh my goodness, this changes everything. And I really think this has a lot to do with the demand for quarterbacks and the lack of supply for quarterbacks that can come into a team and change it. So I have a hard time. So I'm still kind of gauging the my
I think you're right.
expectations for this guy as a player, regardless of all the noise.
No, I think you're right. I think a lot of this has to do with the economics of the quarterback position. There's just not there's a reason why there's 4 elite quarterbacks. Like truly, right this moment, 4 elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Allen, Mahomes, Lamar.
Are you going
Burrow?
I mean, so maybe 5, depending who you ask. But yeah.
Who would be 5 for you?
You're right. We don't.
This is
I don't know.
This is a terrible thing for me to start
Especially
with,
at the end of the
a couple
show,
minutes left because this is like a week's worth of topic.
No, I think you're right. You know what? I like that. Let's stop right there. It's too early to start throwing some other names in there, and unfortunately for Jalen Hurts, he just doesn't make the cut as an elite. I think. So.
Yeah. So but
he's like
that
the
goes
next
to the
guy
point.
right after.
That goes to the point. I mean, teams are and will forever be looking for the next game-changing, elite, franchise-altering quarterback. And if they feel like they can get one in a lotto ticket in the supplemental draft, I think you're going to have well north of double-digit draft selections in there. And I think there's going to be clearly a few teams that you would never expect. Do I think the Raiders would be one? I don't, because of them just drafting Fernando Mendoza, but I have been wrong many times about many things before.
I mean, we were talking about on Unnecessary Roughness how fortunate we are as a fan base and as media too to not have to really get too deep into this because they've already really now if they maybe pick them up for for trade bait or whatever these other narratives are.
Could the Raiders put in a 7th round draft pick, Ari? Yeah, sure.
That I'll take. I don't know about 4th. That's when I start getting
right. I agree.
Still good value. I'm just saying when I start thinking, And the way they drafted this season, this previous draft, hey, we might want to hang on to that. I will also add that we had this was just a quick discussion. It was or just a point made was if it were any other position, I think he said if it was a cornerback, would this even be such a big deal?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah. It would not. It would absolutely not. But again, the layers to it are multiple. When you talk about, okay, not only are you bringing this guy in, that's the easy decision. The tough decision is if and when he becomes really good, then you got to sell to your fan base he's the face of our franchise. Can you trust him? Can he be the guy that leads? Can he be the guy, being on the commercials when he – those are the questions. Now, again, there's been a lot worse things players have done that have brought these questions up. What was it? It was Pryor with the Raiders. But he wasn't drinking and driving. He was selling his own memorabilia, which we look back now, right? He was selling his own stuff at Ohio State.
Yep. For tattoos, right?
Right. Yeah. We look back on that and now the guy's just selling his own jersey. We look back and laugh now. I'm not saying we're going to look back in 10 years and laugh. Maybe we will on Sorsby, but probably not.
I mean, this is like you said, it's towards the end of the show, not so much to talk about, but the idea, the moral compass here, I'll just say is it's basically, does this affect our bottom line versus doesn't it? And so I'm just going to say it there's domestic abuse and all these different charges and things going on, and we're no stranger to this with the Raiders. This particular thing really should not. To me, it shouldn't be as more from the ethics standpoint. I get it. There's plenty, and there's
not black and white.
We all know why this is such a big issue. It is because it's money involved, and that's kind of that one's hard for me to kind of.
Are you saying
decipher
money rules the world?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I am saying it. Yes, from the tallest of hills that I will die on. Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us here on the JT the Brick Show. For all our guests on today's program, Raiders columnist Paul Gutierrez, former NFL offensive lineman, best-selling author Andy Phillips, and of course, veteran Vegas odds maker Jeff Sherman. And you, Raider Nation, we appreciate you as always. Ferrari.
You see, I'm new at this show, so I'm just doing stuff on the fly here.
Well, you made a face, and I was like, am I too early?
A little bit, but that's all right. I appreciate that more than being late.
I just wanted to hear the music, that's all.
There you go. Yeah. I'll just lay it out there. We got about 40 seconds.
We had such a smooth... See, transparency is good. It's okay to be transparent.
We're not fooling anyone.
Yeah, people got things to do. They'd like to know where we're at in the show.
That's right.
Up until the last 2 minutes, it was smooth sailing on our maiden voyage. I had a good time.
Same.
And that's what matters.
Let's do it again sometime.
Because nobody else can have fun if we're not having fun. How do we expect other people to have fun if we're not having fun? Hey, Raider Nation, have a great day. I'll be back in the morning with Vinny Bonsignor on the Morning Tailgate on a Tuesday. Bye.